Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, MIL and Mom making me consider canceling my wedding. MIL wouldn't tell my daughter she was dying because she was mad over a used car. Husband said when his mother first saw me on video call, she said, "What is this?" Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. MIL and Mom making me consider canceling my wedding. I have never really posted on Reddit, but I have previously browsed here, and I don't really know where else to rant. At this point I really just don't know what to do. My so and I have been together for almost a decade. We have decided to officially marry for logistical reasons. Neither my so nor I want to have a big wedding. We are planning to have a small ceremony with our immediate families. Here lies the problem. My so has been basically no contact with his bio mom for at least 2 or 3 years. When we first started dating, I couldn't understand how he wanted so little to do with his mother. While I don't have a great relationship with my mom, we can at least have positive interactions. Then I met his mom and quickly understood. She is a narcissist, among many other things, and he has a significant amount of trauma from his childhood from her. Even worse, she refuses to acknowledge how horrible she made his childhood/adolescence. He decided that he no longer wanted to interact with her, and I fully support him in this. She still tries to contact him via text and phone calls probably every few months or so. Even though she has said some and done completely horrific things to him and he has said that he does not want to hear from her because of her actions, she keeps contacting him and also complaining to his brother, who has limited contact with her, about how nobody cares about her, everybody hates her, she doesn't understand why so won't talk to her, etc. Back to the wedding problem, we have been engaged a little over half a year. When we started planning the wedding, we didn't even have to really discuss it. It was never an option to invite her. She doesn't deserve to be there. Also, she was horrendous at his brother's wedding/every event associated. She gave an entire speech in front of everybody about how his brother didn't want to have the wedding at her house even though she offered, like her entire toast was about herself and what she would have done if she'd been involved in wedding planning. That being said, I would not put it past her to show up uninvited. She has inserted herself into other, smaller family events. Therefore, we have basically kept our engagement and wedding plans relatively quiet. It hasn't really been difficult as neither of us are really active on social media. Until very recently when one of his family members accidentally mentioned us being engaged, which has absolutely opened the floodgates. She is blowing up our phones and has started contacting several other family members to get information about our wedding plans. Thus far, everybody has just been saying that there are no definite plans while so and I develop our strategy. Which comes our next problem, my mother. My mother has somehow gotten this idea that if MIL calls her, she can't lie to somebody, it's a sin. Which is absolute BS, my mom lies all the time even if she likes to pretend she doesn't. So now this whole problem has become an even bigger issue because I think my mom is going to end up inviting her to the wedding. She has very rarely interacted with MIL, and I think she doesn't understand why we don't want her there. This entire situation just came to a head last night, and I need a place to vent. My so has not talked to his mom in several years, and the last conversation that they had ended with him telling her that he did not want to hear from her. MIL is aware that so doesn't want a relationship with her because she keeps asking his brother how she can get closer to him. Yet somehow she thinks that she is entitled to know of our wedding plans. And also my mom thinks that after all this time we are okay with her being there. I think my mom is sympathetic as a mother, but that does not matter because we do not want her there. My so deserves to not have to be scared of his mom's actions on what is supposed to be a happy day. This entire situation has honestly just sucked the joy out of this, and I am considering not having a wedding at all. If I wanted to have a stressful wedding, then I would have planned an actual/big wedding rather than the tiny ceremony and dinner we are doing. ETA, I've lurked in this community before, but I'm really so appreciative of the response this post has gotten. Like I mentioned, this really just blew up to a larger issue last night when MIL called my parents' house and left a message. I know that there are going to need to be further discussions with my mom. Her response really took me by surprise last night, and so and I are talking about that for when he gets back into town this weekend. As far as eloping, I'm laughing at all of the suggestions because last night I was complaining to SO's brother's wife and she offered them to serve as witnesses if we wanted to elope. So I am really considering it now. Thanks to you all for taking the time to read/reply. I'm loving going through the responses. You're ambivalent about advice, so I'm going to try to step softly here. I think it's important for you to sit with your mom, one-on-one, and express to her what you need her to hear. 1. We don't want contact from MIL. 2. This is our decision and as adults we have the right to make this decision for ourselves, as a couple and a newly forming family. 3. I understand that you might not agree with our decision, but you need to accept it, not understand or agree with it. 4. MIL is not welcome at our wedding. 5. If she asks you, you don't need to lie. Tell her that she is not welcome and you have been told not to provide the information to anyone who doesn't already have it. 6. If you do provide the information to her that allows her to attend our wedding, you will be damaging your relationship with both me and fiancé in a way that will be very difficult, if not impossible, to fix. It will have lasting effects because we will no longer be able to trust you. We don't intend to spend holidays with, have our children around, or spend much time interacting with people we can't trust. So I just want to make sure that you understand the stakes here. You don't have to agree with everything we do, but you have to respect the decisions we make and stay in your lane. You don't have a right to make this decision for us, and if you try to go against our wishes, you will be seriously damaging our trust. Lay it out for her. She needs to hear that it's not her business and she needs to hear that there will be consequences if she tries to impose her will. The other alternative is eloping. You can take your closest friends and family members, excluding your mother, to the courthouse for a ceremony and have a lovely dinner in a restaurant after. If your mom can't agree to keep it to herself, then she loses the privilege of being in your inner circle. She needs to respect you as adults and respect your decisions, or she won't be included. Mom, if you're not going to respect my wishes that MIL not be told of the date or location of the wedding, I have no choice but to not share this information with you. And even if she promises to not tell MIL, I'm unsure I'd trust her. Some people will decide they know best and think it will be a wonderful reunion when really they are ruining the event entirely. Hey Mom, we're changing all our wedding plans. And we won't be sharing them with you. That way you don't have to lie when MIL calls you, you can just honestly say you aren't being included in our planning process. If we're able to loop you in on plans in the future we will, but if we have to keep you in the dark to prevent you from sharing info with MIL, then we will. Sounds like your mom, if she's even invited, will be getting same-day notice about your wedding. Sucks for her, but she brought it on herself. Your mom is being ridiculous. She doesn't need to lie. She can just say, they have asked me not to share any information about the wedding, and leave it at that. No lie, no sin. If MIL calls and Mom can't lie, then Mom should just hang up. That's not a sin. Here's the conversation for your mom, so you don't have to lie, you get no information on the wedding and you are not involved or invited. Play stupid games, win stupid prize. How important is a wedding to you and partner? Is an elopement a possibility? Can you hold a surprise wedding? It sounds Sounds like your mother is pushing for your DH's abuser to be at the wedding. I would frame the conversation with your mom around that. I'd say you are trying to force us to have my DH's abuser at our wedding. Neither of us should feel forced to be around someone who has caused so much harm. We will cancel our wedding if you do not stop, and you will not be invited to any ceremony or celebration of our union. If you want us to have a wedding and an invitation to it, you need to stop talking with MIL now, because you have no idea the harm you are causing. You have a couple options. Tell your mom if she wants to attend the wedding she isn't allowed to tell MIL anything. If she does, she can consider herself uninvited, get security, and if MIL tries to come she is escorted away, or get married at the courthouse, tell only a few friends and family, then have a reception or go to dinner. Make it covert as possible. Tell your mom as little as possible. Tell your mom the wrong plans. Then see if MIL runs with those incorrect plans, and you'll know if you can trust your mom. MIL wouldn't tell my daughter she was dying because she was mad over a used car. TW/CW, suicide. Backstory: my mother-in-law has always been wretched. She was a horrible abusive mother to my husband and his brother, more so to my husband. My husband died by suicide when my daughter was 5. I didn't know about most of the abuse until after he died. Horrible things that made me cry when I found out, but helped me make sense of part of the reason he was such a tortured soul. ILs made a killing of a life insurance policy they had on my husband. Never gave a dime to help with funeral cost, or helped us out. My mom had to pay for my husband's funeral. Even though she was horrendous, I always made sure she and FIL had contact with my daughter and still shared holidays with them etc. My daughter is the only grandchild. They only lived 2 miles away but hardly ever saw her. Fast forward to when my daughter was 17. My mom helped save to buy her a used car, 10 years old but cute, and it worked. Partially because it saved my mom from driving my daughter to school 20 miles away every day. So my daughter was really excited, so she called MIL/FIL to ask if she could bring it by. MIL said they didn't have time, both were retired, no social lives, only had 2 sons and one was dead and the other lived on the opposite coast. This happened several times, so my daughter just said screw it and stopped asking. Well, this made MIL so angry she went NC with my daughter. MIL was mean most of the time, so my daughter just let her be. A year or so later, apparently my MIL got a terminal cancer diagnosis. Only a few months to live. She was still so mad over a freaking used car and so damn stubborn that apparently she gave specific instructions not to tell me or her only grandchild she was dying. She literally never spoke to my daughter again over a stupid used car that she didn't even help pay for. She never wanted to see the child of her dead son to say goodbye, just to be petty and to attempt to hurt my daughter. She even went so far as to tell her husband and other son not to tell my daughter after she passed either. We found out she died when my mother saw the obituary in the newspaper. They even waited until after the services to publish it so my daughter couldn't see it and go and pay her respects. I know they hadn't been talking, but still I think it's basic human decency to tell your grandchild you are dying. My daughter called her uncle to ask why they would be so mean. His words, those were my mother's, not grandma/your grandmother, wishes before she died. I hope she feels satisfied in her special place in hell. Edit to add, I'm in the States, so when I say spend holidays I only mean Thanksgiving Day/Christmas Eve etc. She never spent summer or school vacations there and has never even stayed the night in their home. And any holiday she went I unfortunately had to suffer through as well because there was no way. I was sending her there alone to spend the day. When my daughter got into her teens I let her go alone and it was her decision whether she wanted to go or not. But I figured at that point she was old enough that she would report back to me anything that wasn't right. I hope that entire side of that family eventually enjoys joining her when their time comes. Good riddance. I will never understand any of it. I'm lucky I grew up with a kind and loving family. I've never been able to wrap my mind around all these events. I've dealt with them and can handle them, but I'll never understand them. Sounds like she had some serious mental health problems and a victim complex. She really did. And she was the type to never admit it. Everyone else was the problem, never her. Good riddance. Surprised she was able to get into hell, it being Satan generally doesn't want any competition. And I love this comment. Honestly, even though I knew she was awful at the time, it's only now that it's in the past and I've had more time to reflect on it than I realized just how awful she was. DS1 saved up and bought himself a $3,000 15-year-old clunker. Each item he saved up for and tricked the thing out like only a teen boy could. JustNoMil hated it. DS1 is a kind soul and offered to take sour old clam grocery or Christmas shopping or doctor appointments. She refused. He still has and loves that POS car, he hardly speaks to that POS grandmother. Hugs, if your daughter would like them. Sometimes they are just so awful. I don't get it. My mom tried to do the same thing with my dad's death, and was stupid enough to try to play victim, because I did not call her. My cousin asked me if I had called my mom, because her husband died. I replied with my mom had not called to tell me my dad died. I already knew, because there are people in my family who did not engage in that level of petty. Apparently, it got around that she had not informed me, so she called. First time I talked to her in about 5 years. I guess she was pissed that I already knew, and she ended up looking like the POS she was. My brother had been NC with me for a very long time, because of JNM. After she died, the spell seemed to dissipate. I think he has figured out that I am not the evil witch I was painted to be, that mom lied about a lot of things, and he does not have to be responsible for her emotional well-being. So now we get to have a relationship. There are some miserable people in this world. I'm glad she's out of your lives. She did you guys a favor. Just think of all the awful, miserable interactions you and your daughter got to avoid because she chose to punish you with her silence instead of her presence. This is my favorite comment so far. That's a really good perspective. Sorry if this is rude to ask, but if your husband's mother was so abusive to the point he killed himself because of it, why would you ever want your child around someone like that and leave them alone there in the summers? Risky. That's a whole new level of petty. I doubt even hell wants her. Hell probably threw her into the empty. I don't think even demons wanted her around. Husband said when his mother first saw me on video call, she said, "What is this?" I had first seen my mother-in-law when I video called for the first time. I remember she looked at me with a shocked and disgusted face and showing the phone screen to her daughters and pointing towards it with a disappointment face. But I brushed it off thinking I was just overthinking it. After we got married, my husband told me that when his mother first saw me on video call she told him, "What is this?" And that I'm not beautiful. They took a screenshot of the call to send to my husband and my face was paused at a moment which made my face look awkward, my eyes were half closed and my mouth was opened. It's past now but it still hurts me that they said that and sent that screenshot to my husband. How can I get over it and not make it hurt me anymore? Why on earth would your husband tell you such hurtful, unnecessary things? I'd be more angry with him than MIL. I agree, some comments are better not shared back with the spouse. My NCMIL asked my husband when I was pregnant if he was still attracted to me because I had gained weight. This is one of those things that can and should be taken to the grave. You reframe it. How small-minded and judgmental some people are that they have to look for excuses to insult those they come across in this world. Glad I am not like that. Don't let it hurt you, let it inform you. It says nothing about you and it says everything about what a horrible person she is. Oh, I like this advice. I will borrow it for myself. May I ask why DH told you? Because that's what I used to ask my 12-years-old pupils who were provoking fights. I think it would be kinder to avoid repeating anything my mother said that showed her spiteful side, and I wouldn't want my so to feel hurt or rejected. That said, do you care what those unpleasant women think and say? You don't respect their opinions. You know they are malicious. You know you don't want to be like them, or raise your kids to be like them. You can judge a person by their enemies as well as their friends. Big hugs. Spend your time with people who like you. My dear, you don't have just an in-laws issue. Your husband is an emotionally immature arsehole that chats up other women and hides his married status when he does. He's for certain emotionally cheated, and I'd bet a tenner he's done so physically or plans to. He doesn't defend you to his family, and in fact insults you himself, along with negging. He's defensive whenever you try to talk about things and has shown he doesn't care for your feelings or respect you in any way. You've barely been married a year, and you posted this exact same thing, word for word, I believe, in our /relationship_advice where you did not get the reassurance and answers you wanted. You want this relationship to work so much, but a marriage with a man who cheats, lies, insults/emotionally abuses you and allows his family to do the same, can never work. I'm so sorry, but no one here can help you get over their nasty behavior or their treatment of you. We can give you virtual hugs and emotional support, but we cannot give you a magical solution for the incredible hurt you carry. Please continue seeking individual therapy for yourself, and realize you deserve so much better. Remember that she's childish. What a petty woman. Bullying at her age, ridiculous. Your husband should have told them where to shove that screenshot. I laughed when my then fiancé told me that his father had commented on my weight after I first met him. I have always been big but had self-esteem, always had great friends and BFS and dressed well. When I met Phil he couldn't zip his pants up over his stomach and had an unkempt appearance. Married and still happy with my DH 36 years later. Very LC with in-laws until both Mil and Phil aged and had health issues. I helped them out and encouraged my DH to do so as well. Now happily spending large inheritance from very tight-fisted in-laws. Smiling at the thought of them being pissed that the fat girl got their money. OP just laugh, it passes them off, trust me. The most gorgeous people in the world can look like trolls in a paused screenshot. Your MIL is a mean girl and the way you handle anyone intentionally malicious is to decide you're not going to let it bother you. It was an intentional attack on you and your relationship, it was not a genuine opinion of someone that cares. She wanted it to hurt you, you can't let it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and we will see you in the next video.